Hey guys, welcome back to Whiskey Blooded. It is Whiskey Wednesday. Thanks for joining me here. My name is Dave, and this is our channel where we review whiskey, and today we're reviewing bourbon. So I'll just jump right into it. We're going to do something fun this week. We're going to do cheap bourbon. We're going to do cheap whiskey this week. This is Benchmark. It is a $8.99, at least where I am, $8.99 Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey. So it's $8.99 a fifth. This bottle I picked up is the Mega Guy. It's 1.75 liters. This was $21, if I remember correctly. And yeah, so I figured it'd be fun. I figured we could do a cheap bourbon. So I've done a little Googling. I'm sure you have too, like best bourbons under 20, best bourbons under 30, under 100. And I did one day and it was best bourbons under 15. And there's not a lot out there, but this was one of them. And actually a lot of people say that they really like this one because it's cheap. And it is a Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey. It's a Buffalo Trace product, bottled, distilled, everything by Buffalo Trace in Frankfort, Kentucky. And it's aged 3 years. So obviously aged 3 years, it says right on the label 36 months. So can you get good bourbon for $8.99 a fifth? Well, we're about to find out. I had poured myself just a little bit here. This is my first tasting of it. It's actually surprisingly not that easy to find here in Michigan, but it's probably because if people drink this as like a mixer, or if they're drinking this as their daily sipper, then maybe it actually sells pretty quick if it's good. I don't know. We're about to find out here. I'm not expecting to be blown away by it because, you know, as far as bourbon goes, I think that there's a perfect age and price ratio somewhere between like 8 and 12 years old. But with it being so young, I'm expecting it to be, you know, a little bit maybe smoother and a little bit maybe fruitier. So let's find out. Like I said, I just got into my first drink of it, but I'm going to pour a little bit more here, and let's go into the Benchmark. So it's McAfee's Benchmark Old No. 8 brand Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey, 80 proof Kentucky straight sour mash bourbon whiskey. 3 years old, and it's cheap. And I bought the big old Alcoholics bottle. So, not that I only drink once or twice a week, but that was a bad thing to say, actually. I don't want to say Alcoholics bottle. It's the big bottle. It's the economy bottle. We'll put it that way. So here is the product itself. It is in color. It is, you know, it's actually got a little more color than I would have thought, but it's still, you know, golder. I would say it's gold, actually. I'm going to put it right at gold. Maybe leaning towards amber, but I think it's pretty goldish amber, on the light side of the amber. So we'll say like about a gold. And, you know, that's that 3 year age. It's a little bit younger. Sometimes it's a little bit lighter, but it's got good color to it, as you can see. As far as the nose goes, when I smelled this earlier and now, you know, actually with that little bit that I had in there, then with my new pour into it, it's opened a little bit. But it's a lot of apple, and it's a lot of honey, and it's a lot of pear smells. It's a lot of the light fruit smells. And you know, the reason I think that my opinion, and from what I know, the reason that I think that those lighter smells come out on a younger product is, so you're taking something that's essentially just distilled sugar, and alcohol and fermented spirits, and you're turning that into something by putting it into the barrel that then gets flavored by contact with the barrel over time. So the longer it stays in the barrel, it's not necessarily the more flavorful, but the longer it stays, the more time it has to interact with that wood and temperature and pressure and you know, the level that it's at within the warehouse, and moisture, and all the things that can affect a big, you know, huge piece of wood that it's distilling in, and aged in rather. And this one, with its being younger, I think that's where a lot of that younger, fruitier smells come out, is because it's had less time to do that. So it's smelling more like its pure product, which is more of that sugary, you know, fermented spirit. So it's more like its original product, which is just maybe by nature a little bit more on the fruitier side, because it's only had just a little time to interact with that barrel. It's not just straight alcohol, because obviously, you know, we've got the mixture of water in there. We've got the mixture of the interaction with the barrel over time. But it definitely has some of those lighter, fruitier notes. And that's mainly what I get. At the very end of it, I get just a hint of oak and a hint of a hot cinnamon. So let's try it. And that's mainly what I'm tasting. Let me do one more here. So that taste is very much the same. It's very honey, very apple, very light fruit. It actually does have a little more alcohol and oak taste just at the very end, the middle to end of the finish. It's a very quick finish, very smooth, very fast down. But right in the middle, mid-palate towards the finish, you taste a little bit of the oak, just a quick flash in the pan of a hot cinnamon, and then it's done. So it's a very fast, not very complex bourbon, and it shouldn't be at just 3 years old. So what do I think? Is it worth $8.99? Well, there's not a lot of alcohol that's not worth $8.99. But how does it compare to other things in this price range? I think that this is actually quite good. So when I look at very cheap bourbons or whiskeys, I think like, you know, a couple Canadian whiskeys, like a Crown Royal, like a Seagram 7. Then I think a couple American whiskeys. I think of Jack Daniels. Then I think of bourbons like Jim Beam. And I compare it to those ones. And, you know, the one thing that I like about this, so when I think Jim Beam, I think of a really hard peanut harsh note at the end of it. You know, you can almost taste, like, for me, that like peanut taste going down, that wood taste going down at the end. It's just that one thing that stands out in that. When I taste Jack Daniels, I taste like mapley, charcoaly sugar. And it's got this like, you know, bitter charcoaly sugar at the end for me. When I taste Crown Royal, for me on that, it varies by what I'm drinking. Crown Royal and Seagrams as well. I taste like a very, very strong, sweet, bitter note. When I taste this, it does taste like bourbon, which in its own thing, it's sweet, and you know it's got some oak and cinnamon taste to it. But it tastes like a young bourbon. It tastes like it should. There's nothing that like just stands out with this that says, okay, this is the characteristic of it. And that I think is a good thing, because when I try bourbon, I want it to taste not the same for every bottle, but I want a relatively sweet tasting, nice sippable, smooth whiskey. If I wanted something that was harsh, I would go for Scotch. Or if I wanted something that was even lighter, you know, then I might go towards, you know, like vodkas or cocktails, or, you know, depending on what I was drinking, you know, it could go towards anything. But this does taste like just a young bourbon, and I think it hits it right on the nose. A lot of people say that this is the best buy under $20. And I don't want to say it's the best because I've never tried everything under $20, but I would say that this is better than other comparable price bottles. I would take a bottle of this over Jack Daniels or Jim Beam. I would definitely do that. I'd take this over Crown Royal. I'd take it over Seagrams. Because I know that this will go good in a cocktail, because it is, you know, very classic bourbon whiskey taste. And I can drink it straight. Now, it's not complex enough for me to love drinking it straight. It's just alcohol for me at this point. It's just whiskey. It's bourbon. But I think this would go great, fantastic in a drink. You know, if we're looking at, you know, whiskey cokes, if we're looking at Manhattans even, if we're looking at, I've been drinking some whiskey smashes lately. This would go good in that. You know, these would be things that it would go good in, because it has a very sweet but very well-balanced classic bourbon whiskey taste. So, as for the score, factoring in the price, by the way, so I'm scoring, I'm not going to just weight it towards price. I'm going to weight it towards overall, but price has a factor in it. You know, I'm going to say that this stuff, it's like about I'm going to put it at it. Here, I've been doing this. I need to make a little stand for this. I'm going to put this at an 84 out of 100. So I'm going to say 84 out of 100. And that's based on, see, I try to make the stand, and then it just falls over. So you see what happens when I try to do good things here, guys. probably because I use the world's largest magic marker. 84 out of 100. So I think that that's a good score given the fact that it's, you know, a cheap whiskey. And most cheap whiskeys aren't going to score, I would say, over the 80s. I'm factoring the price into it, and I'm factoring the fact that I got what I was expecting to get. And I actually was surprised at how well balanced. I was expecting some kind of terrible, nasty taste to it. I was expecting some kind of, throw out product that, if they were making a batch of something else and they noticed, hey, this barrel was leaking, here, let's throw this in something. I was expecting something different. And I do like it for the price. So let me know what you guys think. Next week, I'm not sure what we're going to do yet. If you have any suggestions, let me know. We might do bourbon, might do scotch. But cheers to Benchmark. Cheers to you guys. Cheers to the channel. Thanks for joining. This is Whiskey Blooded. My name is Dave. I'm going to finish the rest of my drink. You guys should too. Have a good night.